Do you like unique and interesting tasting things? Well, then this video is going to be for you. We're going to cover the genus Eugenia. We're growing about 70 of 1,100 different types of species in that family, and they all produce very different edible fruit. Some are amazing and some are disgusting. So let's go and take a look at what the plants look like. Some are mature and fruiting, some are medium sized, and some are just germinating. But as we go through them, we'll talk about the fruit, where they're from, and give you some specifics about each one. Come on, let's go. As we start the tour, they'll be all over the place, each part of the yard, and we're gonna start here. This is Eugenia off involucrata orange. Now the fruit actually came out orange, and it was very delicious. Starts off as yellow and then turns orange. When I tasted it, I just loved every bit of it. Had quite a few seeds, but the taste was something you can't even express, kind of like citrus delight. This one, which my camera has a hard time picking up on, is a little Charlie Brown tree. I'm gonna repeat that several times on the ones I'm growing. This is Eugenia off sulcata. It was starting out like a champ, but then it definitely went into decline. So we're gonna have to see if I can get this guy back up and running. I have 3 mature Eugenia aggregata, which is also a synonym for Eugenia involucrata. And they are all 3 mature trees. I think I'm going to take them out because not only do they not produce well, 2 of them don't produce at all. And they're big trees, about 15 feet tall, and they bloom like mad. And the one that did produce fruit, I just don't like the taste of the fruit. So unfortunately, that's the way it is with this. So there we go. This is Eugenia anthropophaga. And I wanted to point out the size difference and the vigor between some of these. This was planted in late 2021. So some of the ones that are just 3 or 4 inches tall are 3 years old. And this one is very good sized at just a year old. This was planted at the same exact time. In fact, all the Eugenia anthropophaga were planted at the same time. This is in a 5-gallon. It really took off. It is super, super happy. This one, I would say, definitely depends on the pot size. I like the kind of weeping habit. I like the leaves. Because I'm keeping it in a very small container, it's this. So this one is shippable. That's why I kept some of them like this. Eugenia anthropophaga. This one's a funky one, and I have a feeling it has something to do with my conditions. It's Eugenia arrabidae, very rare, endangered, shade, relatively cold hardy, do not overwater. When I just read that, I think I'm gonna move this guy outside because I do think that maybe some of the lanky growth and damage may come from being in the greenhouse and being so wet. So you're gonna go outside, bad boy. Beautiful leaf color. If in a month you're not doing well, you'll go back inside, but otherwise, striking. Eugenia azeda, planted in 2021. The fruit is reported to be very fragrant and with a flavor kind of similar to like a fajoya or maybe some type of guava. The tree is more like a shrub. The fruit is of excellent quality. The plant likes to grow in tropical and subtropical climates in a well-drained soil. If grown in full sun, it's going to be tastier fruit. Do not overwater. This Eugenia just destroys me. I have a very difficult time saying the name. Eugenia beaurepaireana. Probably the best I've ever said it. Why does it destroy me? Because I have spent more than I earn, which I'm now unemployed, so I can't do this anymore. I have lost at least 5 of these. I cannot grow this one. I don't know if it's too much water, too little water, too much humidity, too little humidity. In every single situation, it dies. However, this one, I wanted to show you there's new growth right there. So this one's actually happy where it is in the greenhouse. Woohoo! This little poor beat up guy is Eugenia biflora, probably about 1.5 years old. He did not like being in the shade, just like the Nelita. His leaves were, God, just like beat the hell up. So I decided to put organic fertilizer in, which was helping immensely because now I'm getting this new growth, which is beautiful new growth, and yay, so you're recovering, you're not dying. The issue is when I put the organic fertilizer in, the raccoons found the pot. So the other day I came in and the entire plant was out of the pot and all the fertilizer was gone. So I moved them into the greenhouse just so the fertilizer can soak in. Can't stay in the greenhouse too long because this guy did not like the greenhouse when I first got him. He likes being outside in the sun and with some fresh air. Eugenia biflora. These are my two Eugenia blastantha. Now I'm going to sound like a broken record. These have also bloomed for 2 years without producing fruit. What's unusual, look at the very long, not a peduncle, well, maybe a peduncle, but blastantha has a good reputation. So as soon as I can taste fruit, I'll give you guys a report of what it's like. They don't need cross-pollination, but it's such a pretty plant, I wanted to keep two. Also, you'll notice this one's bushier and more of a tree-like one, and this one is definitely just getting all lanky, even though they get the same amount of everything. I have two Eugenia brasiliensis. I have the yellow one and the regular reddish purple one over here. The yellow one's growing a lot slower. The yellow one has really impressed me with the beautiful foliage that it has. And it is a delicious fruit from everything I've seen online. Regular red one was one of my favorites. It's kind of like a cherry. This cultivar was sold to me as Eugenia brasiliensis gigante. So apparently the fruit on this is so big, it's just ridiculous. And I have to say the seed was big. This is Eugenia brasiliensis variety erythrocarpa, planted in 2020. This Charlie Brown looking tree is now recovering because I had him in too much shade and he was just getting burnt leaves from, I guess, the shade. And then I don't know if it was over fertilizing or what. But I got rid of all of my other calycinas because, yeah, the taste, no. Bland, not worth the space. They may get better with time, but this one apparently is better tasting. So we'll see. This is Eugenia calycina that's grown in the sun. You want to talk about a difference? Same batch, same age. And I do believe that this is about the size that my other calycina flowered and fruited. So for next spring, I may be able to convince this guy to bloom, but I mean, much healthier. From there to there, I'm almost 6 feet. This is 5 feet. This is a Eugenia candolleana cultivar giant, because it produces fruit that is much larger than regular Eugenia candolleana, often called rainforest plum. These get pretty big. That's why it's a little hard for me to keep them in the greenhouse. Moving on to this guy that is living under the Suriname cherries. This is pretty big, but I have really babied it. I had a full-grown tree that I was growing in a pot, and I decided to and it was living outside in the pot. Even. So it did okay in the winter. Put it in the ground. That very winter, it died. So I don't know what is in my soil it doesn't like. This one's taken off this year, and this is from 2017. It's multi-trunked. It should already bloom, but it just hasn't yet. I'm going to baby it again, but I have many of these. I'm going to try a few more in the ground. I think it's very pretty leaves. Eugenia catharinensis, planted in April 2021. This reminds me a lot of hirta. The leaves are very light, dainty, and feathery. It has hated everything I've done to it. So I'm just keeping it in the same part of the greenhouse, saying, will you please give me a little love? And I see new growth there, and there. So again, it's October. You can tell all the hate it's had for me, but it may be recovering a little bit. I just fertilized it. I think I'm going to start using RO water only on it and see if that also helps. A lot of my Eugenias do not mind our tap water, but there are a few that do. Here's another Eugenia catharinensis that has much bigger leaves than my other one does. This was planted also December 2021 and just completely different growth habit. The leaves are the same texture and kind of daintiness, but everything else about it is different. So these are the same plant. Eugenia Cereja, grown from seed. I mean, this one is surprising me. This was planted March 2022. And in that time, I've been able to get it to a pretty good size. It's already in a 1 gallon. It just sits undisturbed, kind of in the same area the other one is that isn't doing very well. Just 8 months old or however many months old. These are two different cultivars of the same species, Eugenia cibrata. So this is Amarilla, and this is Roja. So red, yellow. Same seed batch, different growth habit. This one's shorter. This one, my God. Nickel, don't cause things to fall. He's about to jump up here so you can see the difference. Nickel. Anyway, let me hold these up. Really pretty, delicate foliage. Very delicate. This guy is one of my Eugenia Floridas. Nothing to do with the state of Florida in the US, but this one's pretty big. I have one that's even bigger that will bloom next year, but this guy, he's in a 1 gallon and kicking ass and taking names. Big, big, big leaves. So he'll probably, produce fruit next year, I think. So he is basically 2 years old. Here's another Eugenia Florida, and the reason I'm showing him, this is a seedling that is 2 years old. From the base, that's probably 2 feet in length. I think it's a very cool looking plant. The one that's different about this, all of my other Floridas produce red, new emerging growth. This one only does green emerging growth. So because of that, I'm keeping it, just in case there's some differences in the rest of the fruit. Here are some other of the Eugenia Florida. I said the other one only had green new growth. So most of my Floridas come out with a beautiful red like this that is just stunning. All the new growth is like that and then matures like this. That's in a 1 gallon. This is in a plastic cup. Look at those beautiful leaves. It's healthy. If I had anything to complain about with Florida, is that it is going to be a floppy bush. This one, well, the main leader died for whatever reason. And then I'm noticing that it's a little stunted. Love that. So, you know, when you grow things out from seed, sometimes you do have dwarfs that come out. So these are all the same age. I've been growing a little bit longer, probably 2019, 2018. Again, these are both Floridas. And this is what I love about growing stuff from seed. You never know. This looks like all my other Floridas. This one is Florida, but how the hell can it be Florida when the leaves look so different? So it doesn't get as much sun. I'm about to move it where it gets more sun. That may help it. These are Eugenia hirta, planted in 2021 from seed. And they're doing okay. They are definitely one of my greenhouse plants. I tried one of these guys outside. I don't know what it doesn't like about me, but yeah, it doesn't grow very well, but I love the leaves. So you'll see that most of these I either think are greenhouse worthy because they need it and they weren't doing well outside, or I heard they can't take the cold, so I'm just getting used to cramming them in a very tight greenhouse. Oh my God. What the hell? I have 2 blooms on my Eugenia hirta that is not even, let's see, it was 11/9/2021. This seedling is not a year old. Not a year old. Blooms. Sometimes you have to come and do videos like this so you realize what the hell is happening with these. Love. Planted August 2021. So maybe a slow grower, but beautiful. I mean, no damage from fertilizer, no damage from our city water. I mean, you can tell how the city water has mineral deposits. The greenhouse is filled with it. But yeah, this one's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful plant. I just am very happy with this. Eugenia hirta. Welcome to these 2 particular Eugenia iguape. So I think I have 1 or 2 more. Ooh, new growth. So iguape is cool because it also has very large leaves. It was planted December 2021. So not even a year old. And look how freaking big this is. Again, you want to know why this is a special species? It also attracts a particular pest, which I hate, which is city mold. So when I had this one in a sheltered area, it might have been in the greenhouse, the city mold was everywhere. So I treated for ants, I treated for scale, and I tried to wash off the city mold. It is now recovering. That's why you get the new growth right here. But you can see some of the scale. Hey, Nickel, thanks for joining. I'm still getting off. Thanks for moving the table around. I appreciate it. So Eugenia iguape. The mysteries. Eugenia itacarensis. Eugenia itacarensis. Eugenia itacarensis. It was doing great. Loving everything about it. And now this is happening. So there's chlorosis. I'm not sure how to get it back up, but I'm gonna try. Just give it some fertilizer. I think I'm gonna start some fish seaweed solution as well and see if I can get it back to health. This beautiful little guy hidden between some of my plants is Eugenia itaguahensis, or dwarf grumachama. I'm growing this one in a pot. This year it actually flowered for the very first time. It produced also hundreds of flowers, and not a single fruit made it because, not, I don't think, the fault of the plant its own, but we got a heat spell. After being 70 for all of the spring, we were suddenly up in the hundreds for a few weeks, and all the flowers aborted. December's been so crazy hot, you can kind of tell where the burn was from earlier in the year. So it's flushing some new growth out. And I think eventually the bigger it gets, it's just gonna bloom more and more and more and eventually give me fruit. Here's another itaguahensis in the ground. See, I'm super cute, but I'm super happy because it was doing okay in a pot, but not really, doing much. So I put it in the ground and it has grown a lot of foliage just this year. It's also old. This is from 2017, so 5 years old, maybe a foot tall, and super cute and compact. They can get bigger and they bloom a lot. So it bloomed one flower, I think, this year. But I hear the fruit's pretty good for dwarf grumachama. Oh, let's see. These are some of my other Eugenias. This is a itaguahensis. I can tell just by the look of the plant and its dwarf nature. I have no idea where the tag is. This one is hard for me to say because my mouth doesn't work right. Eugenia janeirensis. Janeirensis. Yeah, janeirensis. Eugenia janeirensis. And I planted this in October 2021. So again, talk about a fast grower. It is October 2022 now. So this is 1 year's growth. I think on this particular one, I got it as a seedling. All my others are seeds, but I think I got it as a seedling. So that helped jumpstart it. But that's very, very, very big. I would probably guess its actual age to be maybe 1.5 years, almost 2 years old then. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous new leaf structure. This guy is on the very rare side. You're not gonna see this one often. Those of us that collect these, they'll probably get it all at the same time, and then we all grow them out and see what the hell happens. This one, because it's so rare, I'll probably keep it in the greenhouse this winter. That's where it was last winter and why it succeeded so well. So there we go. These two are Eugenia joenssonii, planted May 2022. To me, they look like catharinensis, hirta, all that class. All I know is that the ideal temperature for this one is around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and it has a very good taste. Beyond that, I don't know much. It was 5 months growth. This guy hates me. This is Eugenia klotzschiana, giant. He was planted just in May, so just a few months ago, but he died. Oh, camera, come on and focus. He died. Repotted him into a 1 gallon Didn't give him much attention, just medium water, and I think he's coming back because I see new growth on the backside. But this is, and see, this one died. This is another one I've tried several times. I don't know what I do wrong, so I am giving it one more go. There's some new growth, wish me luck, because otherwise this is just another Eugenia I have to give up on. These Eugenia haven't even come up. Oh, we have one. Eugenia langsdorffii. Woohoo! That one did not come up, nor, yeah, that one did not come up, but one did. That's hot. Yes. Eugenia leatonii. Eugenia leatonii. Now, I saw on a post that I may have the true one. I began with 5, tried one outside, died before I caught it. Put it back in the greenhouse, still died. The other ones, I moved from one greenhouse to the other, died. Don't know why. So when I see the real one, someone else posted, and the leaves look very different, and we think there may be like 2 cultivars or something, because he said that his is, but I have the true one. So I'm not knowledgeable enough on this guy to know. Funky leaves though. Funky, curly, veiny, wavy leaves. Again, greenhouse only. They need humidity. This next Eugenia, you might say I'm hoarding because I have quite a few. It grows well in a container. It is Eugenia ligustrina. So I think it has very ornamental value. I just kind of in love with it. Actually, I love this one because of how compact and bushy it is and is growing as a bush. This one you can see kind of started with the main leader and then is flopping over and bushing up. These kind of remained upright. This is a 5-gallon, 1 gallon, 3 gallon. I hear that these bloom early on, so I am hoping that I get fruit in the spring, especially if I pot a few in the 5-gallon, and I'm going to try one in the ground. This one had no problem with our California winters. It was a champ. Next to the cherry of the Rio Grande is my patomba, which also is maybe about 12 feet tall. It is doing okay. It produces a ton of fruit. It's not like, it's kind of a scraggly tree where I've seen patoma that aren't, but this one is. And I'll see if I can find some pictures of the fruit and stuff. It's been one of my favorite trees. I really like the fruit, like a lot. Like a lot. Close up with the leaves. This is another Eugenia lushnathiana because this one's from Brazil. I'm hoping it's different than my patomba. It looks a little bit like it has larger leaves and darker green leaves than mine does. Hopefully it's going to be bushier too. One of my Eugenia motosii. Someone I saw on YouTube says Eugenia motosii. That's the correct pronunciation, so go for it, however you want to say it. I almost made a big mistake the other day. I tore this sucker apart because I thought all these different stems were different seedlings and I threw all the seeds together just to see what would germinate. Nope, this is one plant. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 branches from the bottom. And it kind of makes sense because this Eugenia, there's a rumor you can start from cutting. So it makes sense that if it's branching like that, as soon as something hits the dirt, it may root. But I was very afraid because, I really tore it up looking for the different seedlings. And then when I did, I put it back in the pot. This is about 5 days ago. In 5 days, I got that. This is the bigger potted Eugenia matosii, also planted April 2021. Smaller pot, but look how much more robust he is. He's been in the greenhouse until October when I'm bringing him outside to get some fresh air. Also, he's been outside only about a week and a half, and all this new growth is appearing. So I don't know why the growth happens so late in the year, because we're about to get cold, and I'm not quite sure which Eugenia I'm gonna trust to experiment with outside or not. I heard this one can take some cold, but if you have any comments, if you have experience whether it can, let me know in the comments. This is Eugenia minutifolia. Probably going to be kind of a short video because this is the only one I have at the moment. I had two and I went to look on him. He was in the greenhouse and he was not doing good. So if I can get a close up. Planted just a few months ago, not too strong of a grower. And I'll see if I can put some information up on the screen about this one. Eugenia minutifolia. Eugenia monticola. This was planted in January 2021. So it's a slow grower. Maybe because I also have it in a very small pot. But I like the growth habit, well, when the leaves don't die. It is so small and compact. It reminds me of both hirta and procera. So Eugenia monticola, super, super cute. Spiders and dead leaves will be gone soon. Also planted January 2021. So look how small this, just lost a bad leaf, but I see new growth right there. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. Eugenia monticola. My God, so that is, let's see, when did I say January 20? January. This is almost 2 years old. Almost 2 years old, and look how freaking small. But just, I love it. Sorry about the noise in the background. This is a ridiculous day to film, but I wanted to get it done. This is Eugenia brasiliensis. This used to be classified as Hexaclamus edulis. Produces a fruit that's kind of like garlic tasting when super ripe. It smells like garlic too, but man, when it's not ripe, I love the fruit. Tastes like a guava. Problem is, this guy also produces so many flowers and no fruit. All the fruit I've eaten is from another plant, but yeah, very, very, very beautiful guy. He is 9 years old and has not fruited. Flowers, but no fruit. This lovely plant is Eugenia neonatidia, also known as Pitangatuba. Well, if any of you guys watch my other videos, you know that I hate Pitangatuba. It's a disgusting Eugenia fruit, but some people say that there are good cultivars up there. The reason I am keeping this one is because I didn't collect it from the States. This is actually direct from the forest of Brazil, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a really good tasting fruit. However, we've already went through about 400 blooms this year and 500 blooms last year, and not a damn fruit. So as you can see, it fruits, it flowers, and then everything falls off. So I don't know if it needs cross-pollination. It may, it grew from seed, so it could be a hybrid. I don't know, but beautiful leaves. I'm gonna keep it until it produces its first fruits, and hopefully it's going to be as good tasting as the plant is beautiful. Eugenia neonatidia or Celoi Pitangatuba. So this first guy is Eugenia neosylvestris. He's a slow grower, planted him in early 2020. So he is 2 years old, and This growth was all from the previous years. I've actually had no new growth on this plant until right now. And I'm finally getting some new growth there. So I had 5 and they were all doing very well. And then for an unexplainable reason, 3 of them just died. So I'm left with 2, but these 2 are very healthy. Here's one of the other ones. He is in a 5-gallon and he has a couple more branching structures than the other one did. This one I would say is a more dainty Eugenia because it is pretty fragile. It's leaning, as you can see. It's droopy, it's falling over. It doesn't have a very good root system, even though it's in a 5-gallon. It is healthy. Again, no new growth on this at all until right now, October. I'm getting a few leaves. Eugenia beaurepaireana, planted in February 2022. Eugenia beaurepaireana. So we're going on a year old with this one. I do see some new growth. Man, all the Eugenia are really rocking out this year in October. That's when they're all growing. I see a growth spurt in March and then usually October. It's small though. Eugenia patricii. Now I have several of these as well and have a very large one, but I right now can't find it. It's mixed in with the plants that I'm hoarding. So I found this one and I'm showing it because of the new leaf growth, because I think that's an amazing color. And then as the leaves mature, they get into this. So Eugenia patricii. I'm hoping this fruits early. Some people said it does. So if I can find the big one, I'm gonna look for blooms. Yes, you can use a plant when you lose a plant when you have 800 plants. Oh, I'm gonna show you a Eugenia patricii success story. Now why are you calling this Eugenia patricii a success story? It's a Charlie Brown tree. Well, this Charlie Brown tree was planted in 2019 and has died at least 3 times. So I think it was due to overcare because I was putting it in the greenhouse. It was getting a lot of water. It was getting regular fertilizer and it died 3 times. So on the 4th time, it has come back stronger than ever. And when I say down to the ground, I mean, it died to the ground. That's why I put this in with the empty pots. And God, I think I left it for about a few months. Because it was in an area that would get occasional watering, but not very much. And then one day I come out and I see this and I'm like, oh my goodness. 4th time is a charm. There is Eugenia piriformis and Eugenia pisciformis. So hopefully I'm saying that right. So this is Eugenia pisciformis, also planted from a germinated seed in August 2022. And I have killed all the other ones that I've tried. But for some reason, this one, grown under LED lights, is a champ. It is doing extremely well. I mean, the others are dead. So this one is going to live in the greenhouse. If I see any sort of a decline, he's going back into my germination station with the LED lights. I don't know if this guy is rare, very rare, or ultra rare, but I have several of these. I've only sold one, and I don't think I'm gonna sell anymore. This is a greenhouse only Eugenia because it needs high humidity. I tried him outside. He does not like it. We have low humidity. Maybe in the summer it's around 11 to 15%. As soon as I put him in the greenhouse, he's super happy. Eugenia procera. Eugenia procera. I do believe that this guy grows well in a container. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. So again, 2020 Eugenia procera, same batch. but I wanted to keep this one shippable. So he's still in perfectly okay condition. I see a couple of scale I have to get off of him, but very nice. But he's in a, I think this is a 3-inch or a 4-inch pot. So to be shippable, kept him in there. Eugenia procera. So I'll skip the like other 6 I have. Eugenia pseudocidium. Eugenia pseudocidium. Which, if it's pseudocidium, must remind them of guava. This was planted from seed January 2021. So I just showed you one 2021 that was like 1/2 inch tall. So in the same time period, this species has grown 1.5 feet. I'm going to say 1.5 feet. New growth is green. Eugenia pseudocidium. You want to talk slow growing? This is Eugenia punicifolia, and it was planted in 2019. So it is 3 years old. Yeah, and it looks like this at 3 years old. So it's not unhealthy. It's just not the biggest Eugenia I've ever seen. And much like the Neosylvestris, it is more of one of the, I don't want to say weak Eugenias, but it is a little wonky. The leaf structure kind of reminds me of either piriformis or the one that smells like garlic that I was talking about up front, Eugenia mercianthus. I would say one of the first Eugenias I have is piriformis. It's about 16 feet tall. Shy producer. It has produced over the last 2 years probably about 15 fruit. The first one was huge. After that, they've been smaller and kind of taste like a watery mango. Look at those new leaves. I'll see if I can find the footage of this one too, because it's just so cool. It's a big tree though. This one is Eugenia reinwardtiana, or Australian beach cherry. I love the way this tree looks. It's short. I mean, this tree is old. I think I planted it. Let me see if I have the date. Pretty sure it's around 2016. So 5 years later, it's maybe 4 feet tall, blooms a lot, produces a lot of fruit. The fruit needs to get better for me to enjoy it. But I love the blooms, I love the plant, and I love the way it looks in bloom. These are my other Eugenia raponda black, whose fruit tastes just like a North American cherry. So they turn this brilliant red and then eventually turn to a black. That one is almost ready to eat. I won't pick it yet, but these are gonna go into the ground. I have 3 of them right next to each other because seriously, it's so ornamental. It's one of my favorite trees. When they are filled with fruit, I mean, this is not even a lot of fruit because this is its 2nd fruiting this year. You couldn't see the tree with all the fruit, and it's so red and then black. It's just cool looking. So they're gonna be my little ornamental babies that I cherish. This one makes me cry. This, if you try and get it now, is super duper expensive. Eugenia celowiana, pretty rare. And look how well it did for me. It was growing like a champ. Woohoo! Everything about it was going great. And then it died. Unknown what happened. This one, I have one spindly seedling that I germinated June 2022. It's a Eugenia SP. It's just called Eugenia Cherry. What a generic name, right? Eugenia Cherry. Actually, I have 2 seedlings. I have that one, and then I have that one right there. Long, narrow leaves. I love that. Here's another Eugenia SP, Eugenia Cherry. It was doing great in the greenhouse. You know, like the other 2 that I showed were doing great. Then I just took the lid off because I always put the lid on to keep humidity up, and they were dying. So I quickly put them in my germination station inside the house, and one still died, but I think I'm gonna have one more that still lives out of this. Here's another Eugenia in my other greenhouse, and it is very, very temperamental. I have to keep it in the greenhouse. If I think about moving it outside, it dies. This is Eugenia sp. Muerte de Santa Catharina, and as long as I keep it in here, it is happy. It's a very cool looking one, very different than most of the other ones I have. Here's a Eugenia sp. that kind of has a unique characteristic. This was planted in 2021, straight from Brazil. So it is also a slow grower. Its unique feature is it attracts scale like no other plant in my garden. This was filled with scale all the way down everywhere. So I just had to remove most of them, and now I'm treating it so that it doesn't get that anymore. And I'm being rewarded with a little piece of new growth, thank goodness. But yeah, for some reason the scale love this plant. They don't go to all the other Eugenias quite like this one. So you're a special little guy. But as you can tell, the growth structure is going to be different with not as many leaves per branch. Eugenia sp. Hidden behind it is one of the Eugenia sp. off involucratas. It's doing pretty well, but it does have a different growth pattern. The leaves are smaller than my other involucratas. These guys were in the same pot, and they look just like this. This is not damage from transplanting because they transplanted pretty well. I'm growing these from seed. They germinated in June 2022. Eugenia sp. amarella. One of the funky growers. Eugenia sp. arandanus CL. I recently got this, and it has grown, as a seed, germinated seed. So all this is the new growth that I've had in 3 months. I think it's pretty good. That red mixed in with the green is gorgeous. Like, just, it is a very distinct Eugenia. Daddy loves you. Eugenia sp. Black, planted December 2021. I see similarities in other Eugenia for sure. But another reason I dig it, you gotta grow these out to see what the fruit's like. And I've had some really bangers. Some of the more common Eugenias are disgusting. And some of the rare ones have really surprised me, especially the SPs. I have a purple and an orange one that I wouldn't give up for anything because they are really good fruit. Eugenia sp. Black. This one is a Eugenia sp. but it was called Cereja. So I have to figure out if that is from the region or why it's called that. Ooh, finally some new growth. Eugenia sp. Cereja, planted, I planted this from seed June this year. So this is only a few months old. Greenhouse only, my little guy. This one, of course, is a much newer acquisition. This was June 2022. Eugenia sp. Pitangüinha azul. Pitangüinha azul. I don't know if that looks like a Eugenia to me, but I could see how it is. iguape and everything look like that as adult leaves, but as seedlings, they just look different. Let's see. Eugenia SP orange had some unique characteristics, especially the way it was growing. But what I figured out is it produces a purple fruit. But I'm not upset about it because this Eugenia doesn't taste like any of my other Eugenias. It may be purple, but it tastes phenomenal. I have a video where I describe the taste of the fruit. It fruited twice a year as well, just like the involucrata orange did. And they were super, super, super tasty. So another Eugenia that if you see it, grab it. This Charlie Brown looking tree is a Eugenia SP. It's more like Eugenia off aggregata because it's very much like a cherry of the Rio Grande. The thing is, we've had enough people taste it now where it's not a cherry of the Rio Grande. It is a remarkably tasting fruit. One of my favorite Eugenias because it's a very, very dark, almost black fruit that's just, it's very, very, very delicious. There are some of the flowers. It fruits twice a year. Don't you enjoy the ambient sounds of LA? There we go. So it's kind of Charlie Brown, I think, because where I have it, it's under a lot of shade from trees and stuff. But man, it still produces a lot of fruit. One of my faves. Tucked in the middle of a lot of my trees, so it's going to be very hard to see. I have a few Eugenia speciosa. So this is one. This is another. So this one, where I barely have a plant to show, this one is turning into a full-on, beautiful, wonderful tree. Look at all the foliage. I would say, all in all, it's about 4 feet tall. I know it produces disgusting fruit, but I don't care. I like the look of the plant, and I have to taste one before I get rid of it, but beautiful. This is Eugenia squamiflora. So I had him in the greenhouse. I only planted this guy March 2022. And you can see the significant growth he's had in his very short life. I actually hear this one is pretty hardy. So I'm going to move him outside now and see if he responds well. I do not like the fact that he is so, like, this branch is going and making him all droopy. So I may have to, put something in to hold him up. I did hear this one's pretty hardy, and when they showed their photo, it's huge. So 2 seconds before the video, he was in a very small pot. I potted him up to 1 gallon to let him go nuts. So Eugenia squamiflora. This squamiflora was planted October 2021. It's not nearly as good as my other one. I don't think it likes the greenhouse. I do see, did I see any new growth? Just down there. So I think I'm gonna try it outside for a little bit. I'll put it with the other squamiflora, and then we shall see if it will pick up or if it will also perish. This is where I moved the other squamiflora. This is Eugenia stipitata, all from the same group that I grew out. Let's see, it was November 2021, so a year. This is a year's worth of growth. That's what happens when you put it in a 1 gallon with semi-sun. These were doing excellent. I mean, these were kicking ass and taking names, but I accidentally forgot that they were behind some other plants, so they haven't been getting sun. And so you can see they're getting leaf burn and weird irregular growth habits, just like all my other Eugenia that are sun loving, but want to be in the sun but are in the shade. So these are now going outside today. So the other stipitata I have is one of the few plants I bought as a seedling and grew out, but these are seed grown, and I'm noticing a difference again in the structures. So I know it's a sour fruit, but I'm gonna keep the one I bought and probably one of these, and then maybe put the others up for sale. Oh, by the way, Eugenia stipitata is one of the ones that is not quite as hardy, especially here in Southern California. So it does get damaged in the winter because I live in a little bowl and it gets down to 30 degrees some nights, but it still lives. So you will get damaged, just it'll eventually bounce back in the spring. In my germination station, there are two things of Eugenia sulcata. You know, the oxycola was doing horrible in the greenhouse, but in here, they're doing okay. This is true sulcata. These three guys hold a very special place in my heart, and I'll tell you why. There were four of them, but I did ship one to the farm in Hawaii to see if it could grow on its own. Unfortunately, on the trip there, even though the packaging was stellar, it got beat the hell up. So I'm not sure if it will survive, but I will keep my fingers crossed. This one is one of the very, very few Eugenias that likes shade and can be container grown. So these are going to spend their life in containers here. And then if the one in Hawaii lives, they'll be in the ground. So these were planted, let's see, 11/20/21. So they are about a year old. Love the bushiness of this one. This one's sort of branching out now, and this one's just tall with bigger leaves. So same batch, that's the difference in leaves that we're going. Eugenia umbelliflora, planted in 2021. Eugenia umbelliflora. I had to put a stake in here because just like the Neosylvestris, it tends to flop over, at least in my conditions. So I staked some of these up. The other ones I took the stakes out while I'm filming, but this one I left in so I didn't disturb it. But I mean, my God, in a year and a half, the growth on this and the leaves, one of the larger leafed Eugenias. I do have some with larger leaves. I'm not saying this is the largest. I'm just saying that at a year and a half, and that's some pretty large leaves. And I love how bushy it is. So it's very nice looking. Eugenia umbelliflora. It's actually in bloom now, this Eugenia uniflora, but I'll show you the pictures of when it's loaded with fruit. I have a black one that I grew from seed and a red one. The black blows the taste of any other Suriname cherry I've ever tasted. It is amazing. The tree would probably be about 20 feet tall by now, but I keep cutting it, so that's probably, I don't know, 14 feet tall now with a good sizable truck. Right by my midgeonberry. But yeah, just an incredible tasting one. The red, I just keep for cross-pollination, even though it doesn't need it. The red isn't bad. The red's the better of the reds. It's just meh. These two I'm gonna have difficulty growing in California, I do believe, because they have some issues. These I acquired as very, very small seedlings this year in 2022. I have seen this plant in Hawaii. A friend of mine is growing it, and let me taste the fruit. It's okay. It's very mild flavored, but I'm trying to grow some in Hawaii. But here in California, this is what they kind of look like, chlorotic. They're not super happy. They definitely did not like the winter that we had last year, because I believe I got them around January or February 2022. This one is growing the most. They were in the same position. This one is barely growing. Beautiful in bloom, and I do believe the blooms smell. There will be some last minute additions like Eugenia punicifolia observa, Eugenia sp black Jorville, let's see, Eugenia, however the hell you say that. Eugenia SP Green Serrato. There's another one. Eugenia janeirensis. And we have some more coming in today. Oh, there's complicata, even though it's like dying on me. One died. I just watered. That's why it looks wet. Don't think I'm overwatering. But it actually likes more water than not. Literally just got some more in on the day that I'm finishing editing this long video. So see, always collecting. Well, that concludes our Eugenia tour for now, but I'm always collecting, so there will be more. Plus now we have a farm that we have to collect for, so we're gonna try and go hardcore as soon as we can figure out how to fund it. Anyway, I enjoyed making this, hope you enjoyed watching it, and stay tuned for more.